Once you found your picture on Google Images and have saved it onto your computer, you are ready to start tracing it in Illustrator. Let's start by creating a new document. I want these projects to be called with your first name, last name, so mine's going to be called SD Schwartz _ letter image. And then we can create. We want it to be a letter size document, so 8.5 by 11 in inches, and we can start with it in portrait, although we can always change it to landscape later. So let's hit create, and now we have our document. We're going to start by bringing in the picture from wherever you saved it to. You can just drag it right in. I'm actually using a different picture than the one I found in the previous video, just because this one's a little simpler, so I think it might be easier to show just to demonstrate the steps. And let's start. So first we want to lock layer 1 where we have the picture, and we're going to trace on the next layer. So we could do this the same way we did it. I just zoomed in. You can zoom in by hitting Command or Control plus, and then zoom out by hitting Command or Control minus. So we could do this the way that we did the leaf, just by, tracing it exactly as we saw it. So this is how we did the leaf. We traced the exact thing that we saw. Here I'm going to make the handle a separate shape because the handle we want to have a hole in it, right? I'm going to hit Options, so that way we can get rid of that handle. And we could go like this. Note that's actually much slower down. Let's, better to trace with no fill inside. That was a mistake on my part. Let's get rid of the fill. There we go. And now we can see our image pretty well. I can hit A to get the direct selection tool, and then I can move things around. We can use the anchor point tool to drag the line. That will get some handles right there. Okay. And then if we want to fix this, let's hit Control C to get the direct selection, the anchor point tool back. We can mess around with the handles. Now if I want to get the handle, I can do that next. Right? So I'm just going to get the handle. Okay, and then I can keep tracing. So this is basically how we did the leaf. We just traced it. And so now we do have the shape when we trace it, and we can see that we have it by filling it in. I'm going to swap the fill and the stroke. And this is a really messy handle. When you guys do this on your own, you should be neater. But I'm going fast so that way we can have a shorter video. So this is done, but I don't think it's very interesting. It's a little bit boring. There's no positive and negative interaction here to make the shape interesting. It's really just a positive shape. But we want the positive shape to be defined by the negative. I'm going to show you an example of what we're trying to accomplish. So compare this shape right here to this shape right here. Right, so this is a version of that watering can that I did by defining the negative shapes, the black, the positive shapes. The black is positive, I think, and the white is the negative. And I think that this is a little more interesting. And then when we want to get the letter involved, we get to define the shapes even further. And that I also think is more interesting if we build the shape out of shapes. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. Okay, so let's delete this. Okay, and we're going to now make shapes out of shapes instead of just tracing. So I want to show you that here we see that this is more of the light side and this is the dark side. Okay, so I'm going to start by making a black This is a black rectangle for the darks. And then we're going to want a white rectangle for the lights. And it doesn't really matter in this situation what's on top of what. We just want to, it just needs to look, we'll arrange the layers afterwards. Okay. So now, oh, I just accidentally dropped a point down. I think it's more interesting if it's not straight down. So I'm going to actually just change this. I'm going to change the black one to be more diagonal. We can't fully see it. And I think that it'll be easier later if the white takes up the entire space. And we put the white, right now the white layer, you can see this white layer is on top of the black layer. I'm going to drag this layer, I just clicked it, held down, and I dragged that layer underneath the top layer. So now the black is on top of the white, and it's kind of like if you were stacking things in the physical world, and we see that layer 2 is on top of layer 1, which is why the stuff on layer 2 shows up on top of the stuff on layer 1. Okay, so we have this shape now. Now remember, there are these lines over here, so let's get them back in. And we don't need to be so literal with our lines. It's okay if they don't look exactly like they did. Okay, so that's a white line. Excuse me. And now let's get another white line. Okay. And now I'm going to make a black line that can go under it. Going to change the stroke, not the stroke, the fill to black. Cancel. And now we can see that your eye finishes off this white line because of this black line. And now what I want to do, instead of making another black rectangle, which we could do, I want to show you how to duplicate something. So we know how to copy and paste already, just because you probably do that in, Microsoft Word and your own regular lives. Copy and pasting is Command C and then Command V. But here we can do something a little better, or more interesting, a little faster and easier, and it's called duplicating. And what you can do is, if you have this line selected, you can hit Option. And now do you see that there are two that are one? I just let go of it. This is the one mouse, the one cursor, the arrow tool. And if we hit duplicate, we see that we get two arrows, and that shows that if I drag out while Option is hit, we have two shapes. So now we have, I just duplicated that shape. Now I think that these two lines, and I'm being careful to select only what I want, these two lines, I think, should really come out to give a little more dimension to the shape like that. And they can come out on this side as well. And we can do the same thing for this shape, except that it's going to hit the handle, so I don't think it would do that really. Maybe what we want to do, I just zoomed in a lot. I think it would look good if we made it angled. I think that looks pretty nice. Okay, now let's do the spout. So we see that the spout, excuse me, that's my home phone. Now we have the spout, and I'm just going to trace it. We see the same thing here as with the picture itself, that the top part is dark and the bottom side is light. So we're going to define it the same way. So this shape is dark, so I'm going to trace it. And to get this rounded, this part of the spout to be rounded, I dragged to get a handle. And now I'm going to make another shape. I just dragged to get a tiny handle. I'm actually going to delete that because I think it'll be easier to not have the handle. Then I'm going to finish off the shape. Now I'm going to make it white. There we go. And even though, I'm going to hit V so that way I can get the arrow tool. So even though this shape does go into this white shape, it's okay because it still looks fine. Now we want to get the spout. So let us draw this shape. And even though there's a light part and a dark part, I think what I'm actually going to do is just have this shape be dark. And so this is part of not being as literal, is I can just decide that it's too difficult. Let's do that again. You know what? I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to show you how you can fix things. We don't want to constantly be deleting and doing things again. It's better to edit better to do something and edit it than continuously delete things and start again. So I'm going to practice what I preach. So I'm just fixing this. So instead of worrying about the lights and the darks here, because I think it's kind of complicated, I think it'll be easier to understand if we just make this shape, this whole shape black, and then I'm going to get the pen tool back, and then this whole shape black. But what I am going to do, and I'm using Option to get rid of this handle, is I'm going to leave a white space. Let's fix this. Going to get the arrow tool. Let's just click it and then we can do that. I actually think, you know what, I am going to start this again just by dragging over both of them and then deleting them. So what I want to do is make them one shape and then have a line. So I'm going to do the pen tool, then I'm going to, but I want handles, so let's get some handles. Here we go. I was trying to do it with fewer points, but I think this actually needed an extra point. Sometimes it's good to, and I'm hitting Option so we can get the handle away. Sometimes it's good to edit things. I messed up. Let's hit Option again. Sometimes it's good to edit what you have, and sometimes it's good to cut your losses and start again. And that is a call that you get to make as the artist making the shape. Now I'm going to close this. Okay, I'm going to now fix this. Okay, and we know that there should be an ellipse over there, but instead of drawing an ellipse, I'm just going to get an ellipse by using the ellipse tool. Now this ellipse is obviously not what we want, and we want it to be white. White's going to be hard to see on the page itself, so for now I'm going to make it orange, and then we'll change it afterwards. Now I can rotate this. And resize it. Rotate it again until it fits in the right spot. So when you're doing yours, you can rotate and, and resize and rotate and resize. I think this should be a little thinner because it really is a lot thinner in the actual thing. And now I can make it white. And now I want to show that let's turn this off for a second. I want to show that this is a different thing than this is. And to do that, I'm just going to put a line over here. So I'm going to use the pen tool to draw a line. Like that. Now, if I hit the letter V, the line will end. I want the line to have a stroke on it. Okay, and then I can use the anchor point tool We want to get rid of the fill. Okay, this video is getting a little long. These are the basic ideas of creating a shape out of different shapes. In the next video, I'm going to go over how you can add details and making the handle. Your objects might not have handles, but they will have more advanced shapes, so I'm going to show you how you can do those kind of things in the next video. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please let me know.